Hey, I wanted to show everybody this magazine here, which may be of interest to some of you. It's called Juiced.gs. So if you've listened to the new podcast that I'm on, the TEH podcast, Tech Enthusiast Hour, we had one of the hosts was Ken Gagne recently. We have rotating number of hosts, and this one of the things he does is this magazine. It's a print magazine. It's a quarterly print magazine for Apple II enthusiasts. So it's been coming out a long time. It's volume 22, issue 4 here is the recent issue from December. And it's a print magazine. It's got all sorts of stuff if you're still into using Apple II. And not everybody that reads this actually has an Apple II. A lot of people are using emulators, and you certainly can get emulators for the Mac, lots of them, to emulate the Apple II. But some of the stuff's hardware specific, and some of it's just informational. Like he's got a book review here of a new book about gaming on the Apple II. Looks really interesting. I think I want to pick up that book. I certainly played a lot of those games here, so it's a pretty comprehensive review of that book, and it sounds good. Then there's some hardware stuff in this issue. About some new boards, something that enhances the speed. Imagine an Apple IIe running at 16 times its original speed. And you can do that now with this extra piece of hardware you can add to it. So I wish I had that back in the day. I had an Apple II from 1985 is when I got one. I used them in school before then, and I was in high school. And in 1985 I got an Apple II, and I used it until 1987 when I got my first Mac. So yeah, and I actually owned it until recently when I gave it to a friend who I knew would take really good care of it. So and a really interesting article here that I read about the Apple III, which actually had the capability of running as an Apple II. And kind of the quest for getting that working if you have a working Apple III to be able to do that. And a bulletin board system that ran on the Apple II here and how it can be emulated now. And also programming. I used lots of Apple Basic. I mean, I learned a lot of this coding stuff programming Apple Basic. Of course, nobody uses Basic now, but I miss it. It was a good, fun programming environment. And anyway, there's something called ampersand commands, which allow you to write little bits of assembly into your Basic, and there's a whole article on doing that, and some notes and things about podcast episodes, all sorts of good stuff here. So if you're still into Apple II stuff, either emulators or you have some hardware around, or just want to check it out, this is a Juiced.gs, and I mentioned to him that I was going to be mentioning the magazine on something for Club MacMost. So if you're interested, he said he'd give me a coupon code, and I'm going to post it here with this, so you can get 20% discount off of an issue here. Go to the site, and yeah, so it's something really cool that a lot of people still into the old hardware. I miss the Apple II and the simplicity of it, and the discovery of doing cool things that we just take for granted now. And yeah, there's even there's this thing called Kansas Fest, huge annual festival in Kansas for Apple II enthusiasts, and they have hardware and demonstrations and all sorts of stuff there. Love to get there one year. Anyway, I'll put the link to the site with the discount code in case you're interested in this post.